You're probably sick about hearing about AI right now, but there are ways that you can take advantage of AI without being intimidated for your small business. We're going to talk about 5 of them today.
Hey, welcome back to Blunt Force Business. I'm Brian LaFauci.
And I'm Patrick Marino.
And today we are digging into AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes, and our Blunt Force fact for today is you better control the robots before they control you. Said in an ominous tone.
They're coming.
They're coming.
They're coming. If you decide that you want to do something about it, now's the time.
That's right.
Because otherwise,
ask Sarah Connor.
They're going to come and take us over.
She'll tell you all about it. Yeah. I think a lot of people think about AI and they know what it is now. They kind of understand what it can do. But every day, and that might be a slight exaggeration, every day I feel more and more like I find a way to have it benefit me. And I think today we got 5 key ways that you may be thinking about using it, but you might not have thought about, and can be an absolute game changer for you for time. Some of it is for those of you that are in the startup phase of business. Some of you are running your business right now, and this is a great way to save time and money.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing for as a tool, right? So this is a tool right now. And is it perfect? No. And we'll get into that a little bit. AI is not perfect yet. Makes a ton of mistakes. Sometimes it's frustrating if you try and depend on it. Sometimes it's frustrating if you're working through issues. You're just like, why can't I freaking just get this to do what I want it to do? But if we use it as a tool and a time saver and not something to be scared of, it will help. But I also think that, like, for a small business owner who's thinking about hiring people to do things, they might be surprised at what they might be able to do without hiring.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why it's scary, because it's going to displace people. But if you're the owner, that's your job.
Yeah.
Is to figure out, okay, where do I need to hire people? How can I do this by myself?
Yep.
And AI is going to help you solve a lot of problems where you might have had to engage with high-paid consultants like us, or high-paid, people who you hire, and you won't have to do that as much, or it might help you figure out where your real gaps are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you're in the startup phase, 2 of our 5 really do apply to you. The first one can apply throughout the life cycle of your company, without a doubt. The second one can apply a lot more at the beginning, but then throughout times.
But if you run a business like we, if you run a business the way that you would suggest to run a business,
yes,
then you would be doing number 2
all the time. Yeah. That's why
every year,
always
quarterly,
doing number 2.
Yeah,
Patrick.
exactly. Yeah, number 2.
Number 2.
They say don't sit for more than 10 minutes on the toilet. Did you read that?
Who are they?
I don't know. Exactly.
Yeah,
the AI
right,
overlords. The robot
AI
overlords
are not going to tell me how long to enjoy my number 2.
I don't know. Well, they want you. Okay, let's go. Let's get into it.
All right, cool. So the number 1 way that you can start integrating with AI.
One of the ones we picked out of.
Yes. Don't want to say number 1 in an order, but one of the 5. First of the 5. Great for startups is logo and image design. You had mentioned one earlier. Grok
is the Elon Musk one, the Twitter one.
Yep. And there's also Canva has some AI. If you use Canva, I know a lot of startups use that. You were mentioning that. Adobe.
Yeah, they're integrating it into their suite too.
Yep.
So there's AI features and AI generation.
Yeah. ChatGPT.
I'm wondering, like, when you do this, because go through your steps by step. Yeah.
So here's let's go problem solution.
Yep.
We'll take an entrepreneurial
approach. But then also
step
by step.
Yeah.
Too.
Problem solution is, the problem is people like designing their own logo. It's fun. It's exciting. Happens a lot in startup. Problem there is that it often sucks. Right? It's not great because most people aren't artists or can really do that. So what we have the kids do that go through our high school program is we say, draw it out. Or if you want to use like a CAD or whatever, a computer design program, draw it out. And then take it and dump it into the AI function and tell them what you want with it. Like, hey, I want you to turn this into a better looking, more visually appealing logo or, image. And usually you can get some really great results out of that.
Right.
Yep.
Is there is there an additional step after that? Like when they got to that point, they would have to say, okay, well now take it to a graphic designer to complete it.
I've used them straight out of that.
Because there's a lot of the issues I've had with AI is like it will be like if it has words in it, then forget it. You know what I mean? Like
it
the
will
words are freaking
butcher
all over
some
the
of the
place.
words sometimes. Yes, it will definitely
letters
butcher.
and then you'll be like, take the letters out of it.
Yep.
And it won't. Or
Yes.
it'll add more letters.
Yes. Yeah. Listen, that's great advice. So that's next level gangster knowledge.
One of the things I think about this is always like, with all the 5 things we talked about, is going to be like, it's a shortcut.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, think about a police sketch, right? If you're describing what you want to the police officer, it's like, what did the guy look like? And you'd be like, well, his eyes look like this. Same thing you go through with the graphic design process. Whereas if you do this, sketch it out, give it to AI creates something that looks way better than what was in your freaking imagination.
Right.
Now, if you go to a graphic designer, instead of them having to charge you so much money to come up with, here's 6 versions of what I think you wanted.
Yes.
And then 6 of them are terrible. Here's another 6 versions of what we think you want. You know, it kind of like a shortcut. Now you give it to the graphic designer, kind of like, all right, I need this in like
I need
something I can use for print and something
cleaned
I can
up
use.
and put into like a vector form.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. That's a great example. Great example. So yes, it could be a money saver, or you could take it all the way to the end and say, this is what I'm going to use to get started, right?
Yeah.
So I have something.
Cool. What's number 2?
And just to piggyback that, like you can use that image design function throughout the life of your business, right? So you want a cool little thing. You just got invited to my Christmas party, and this
did I?
Yes,
I didn't get it.
You did on the booking of the face. You did.
All right.
But
to use AI.
I was waiting for you to call me because when I took a picture from last year that you were in.
Okay.
And you have a cigar in your mouth. And there's a couple of us outside on the
And
porch.
you AI'd
I literally
AI'd it up.
Dumped it into AI.
Yeah.
Right? And I said, blah, 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 blah. It kicked me back. And then I used that picture for the invite. And it's cool. Like, it's AI looking. The only person who looks like them is you.
Is me?
Yeah, I'm like, that's clearly Patrick.
All right, cool.
And everybody else, I'm like, where am I? I know I'm in this picture.
I have a very specific look.
And the glasses. You can picture the glasses are there. So anyways.
Yeah.
Even for party invites.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can use AI to kind of doctor them.
That's cool. Yeah, that's great. It's a great for business.
Logo image design, use it all the time with our students.
What's number 2?
Business plan. Number 2 is you don't know where to start with a business plan. And do we recommend courses? Absolutely. We absolutely recommend courses and programs because you want to bounce ideas off people. But if you a lot of business planning is not knowing where to start with like format and layout and basics. AI can give you a great starting point for a business plan. By simply typing, can you give me a good business plan layout for a restaurant, for a digital marketing company, for a whatever it might be? It'll kick you back a template. And the benefit there is it's going to have all the key things you should be thinking about. So at least it's okay, I haven't touched on that yet. I probably should. It's in here, right? It's in here for a reason. So just using that as is it going to give you exactly what you need? No. You would have to feed it all the specific details. So at that point, you're better off just taking the template and then adding in the details of your specific business. But for the basic of layout and making sure all the key components are there, it's fantastic.
Right.
And then to your point, you talked about, well, how could someone in growth phase use that? Well, once a year, we could dump that right into AI and say, this next year, we want to look to grow in this fashion. Can you take this plan and customize it for a growth model in this area? And obviously, like I said, you're going to have to do tweaks to it, but it'll do a lot of the build out, a lot of just the busy work of layout, general structure, things you should be thinking about. AI is fantastic for business.
Things you might be missing in particular, because I think that especially if you get into your business or even as you're starting a business, you have bias.
Yes.
Right? And this is going to be like the kind of like the differently biased version of it, right? It's going to come in with its own expectations of
own
what your
bias.
thing is. So it's going to bring out some ideas that maybe you'll like, and you'll maybe others one you throw out.
Yep.
But maybe some you hadn't even thought about. Like, geez, like it came out for this from an entirely different angle that I wasn't expecting.
Right.
You know?
Yep. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I really like that one. Do you know what a third one is?
I do number 3 because I brought it up.
And it's right in your lane.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Develop a marketing plan, because this is one of those things that every business owner knows they need to do, and they have trouble with it because they don't understand marketing. They just think, oh, I'm going to run an ad. That's not really marketing. You know what I mean? Or like, I'm going to cover my truck with a wrapper to make it look cool.
Yep.
Which is a form of marketing.
Yes.
Right? But they're not thinking about the other parts of marketing, right? So, and I do this all the time. And I know because of the way AI kind of rolled out as this ChatGPT thing, marketers were some of the early adopters. I mean, especially people who had the right copy. So it's like, it's like, for me, and I'm sure you could probably come up with this the same way, but it's like, here's what I'm trying to sell. Here's my product or service. And you just kind of walk through it, like, who is the market for this? What is the market for this?
Right.
And then like ask it. And again, like maybe it's wrong because like there's a lot of different ways of marketing just about anything. You can market it for boys, you can market it for girls, you can market it for men, you can market women, older people, younger people. So it could be that you want it to be for that. But if you ask it who the market is, it might tell you something interesting.
Right.
Right. And then you ask it questions. You say, okay, well, what if it was this market, then what would our what would our strategy be? The who, the what, the when, the where, the 4 Ps, the product, the placement, the position, and the price, right? Ask it those questions and now develop a rollout strategy or now develop an awareness strategy. And again, like similar to the business plan, it's not going to be as fleshed out as you need it to be for it to be the full plan. And it may also be in the direction that you don't want it to be. But it's going to give you some ideas or a starting point, a structure, a starting point. And again, like if you're not trained in marketing and you're just a small business owner,
Right.
you're trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I, I've been trying to get more business and I'm not doing it well. What should I be doing? Start over. Here's my business. Develop a marketing plan to get more customers.
I mean, it's a great resource for the individual who's just starting and is going to have to bootstrap some of this to be to kind of look at it and then decide what they are or are not going to do.
Yeah. I think it's a great check too on a consultant or a contractor.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, well, what are you doing? I got it. Well, what should we be doing? Ask AI. And I'm like, okay, well, why aren't we doing this? And then the contractor doesn't have a good idea. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we didn't do that because of X. Okay, well, that makes sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, all right, yeah, that makes, okay, fine. Yeah, we can't afford that or, whatever, our market, well, that's great if we were doing, you know what I mean? Like, so the contractor, the consultant needs to have an answer for it. But like, if you're just the owner, right, you need the unbiased kind of like, in the ideal world, you'd have a team of people around you to kind of give you stuff. But the small business owners that we work with a lot or might be watching this probably aren't in that situation. You're in a small business. You don't have a lot of people to give you feedback.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to start out and get a plan put together. I find more times than not, I'm surprised at how infrequent business owners are using it for that purpose.
Yeah.
Or they'll start doing some things and I'll watch what they're doing and I'll ask them like, why'd you do that? And the answer will be very much like shoot from the hippie.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought. I'm like, okay. There's some free resources like out there that would give you at least a better guide than you just thought.
Shooting from the hip. But like the challenge for a lot of small business owners is like you get to the point where you own your small business, you're probably doing something right. So then you allow that to kind of guide you the whole rest of the time.
Right.
And then the rest of it doesn't work. And you're like, why didn't this work? Well, it's because you did that one thing correctly. Or maybe you caught you caught a trend at the right time, but you didn't have the rest of it built out or how to build the business around it. Or you don't know why it worked. It worked, but it was something out of your control.
And the fourth one here is one that you use all the time.
Which one is that one?
Brainstorming.
Brainstorming. I love AI for brainstorming. Yeah. especially for those. I mean, like again, the people who were kind of the earlier adopters were like copywriters, right? Or people who need to write subjects all the time. People who need to write.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I kind of know what I want to write, but like, I don't know what I want to write.
Yeah.
So it's like, here, here's who I am. Here's what we do. Now I need some ideas, right?
Yes.
Just give me 6 ideas about,
Yes.
And a lot of times I will not like any of them.
Right.
But like, again, like it's like idea generation, help me out. Or it's like, I kind of like this. Let's play off of that a little bit. Here's what I'm thinking for this angle, for that angle. Because you're always looking for, like, especially if you're doing like ads, you got to grab people's attention in those first couple of minutes. So give me like a hook. Here's what I'm trying to sell.
Yeah.
Give me a hook. Give me 5. Give me 5.
Yeah.
Give me 5 versions of them. Sometimes they're terrible, but sometimes like it gets you into it helps you, because like that's part of the brainstorming is like you just need to unlock when you have that block, right?
Yep.
You just need to unlock my brain a little bit. I'm in a freaking block because I'm stressed about life. My kids freaking give me a hard time, like, or like I have all these people trying to ask me for money or whatever it is, and now you're here and you just have a block.
Yeah.
Right. So how brainstorm? Like, I need to solve this problem.
Right.
Give me 5 ways of solving this problem.
I'll ask ChatGPT that all the time. Like, here's what I'm looking to do. What do you recommend?
Yeah.
And it's really interesting the way it'll come out. Curriculum development's another one. For any of you in a business where you are like developing procedures, curriculum, module, whatever, sometimes it's tough to break that down. And AI is phenomenal at helping to just segment, right? And get your mind thinking in segments. So great stuff. Last one here.
What's the last one?
The one you all held out for.
Number 5, baby. 5. And there are more ways than 5.
No.
These are the only 5 ways. But
I think these are 5. What I think
it's a starting point, right? We're having a conversation.
These are 5 ways that I'm always surprised not as many people have.
There's a lot of business owners that aren't doing any of this. They aren't using AI at all because they're either intimidated by it or they're just busy and it's technology and they don't want to do it.
Yeah. Exactly. And this was yours, and I was like, oh wow, that's a really good one. I actually talk about data analysis, and then I'll tell a story similar.
Yeah, so I use it for data analysis, and this is like one of the challenges is you cannot always trust AI yet. Because it does this thing. What's it called? It's called.
I do like it's sourcing itself now. With
right.
Like where there's literally, if it makes a statement, there's a link to the article.
I still catch it lying all the time.
Do you?
Yeah. Okay. If you're looking for like a quote, and it'll just be like, "Oh, here's a quote," and it'll be like, "Did they really say that?" Well, no, that was something that they might say. You have to keep asking it, right? But with data analysis, like which is it's pretty good at, is like if you have like unstructured data, so if you have like just a spreadsheet of just a bunch of crap, and it's like got numbers in there, or whatever it is, like I just need to freaking add all this up, or I need to like deal with it, or analyze it for trends, for like and I use it all the time to kind of just spot like this is kind of what I'm seeing for like if it's SEO or sales data or advertising, like, here's the impressions, here's the, all right, let me just run it through. So I'll just take a dump of the data and just run it through there and just be like, if this was the data that you got, give me some insights about it. Tell me like 3 things that like you notice about this data. Or the other thing I picked out, which like I do a lot of, if you're pulling dumps from like Google Business, which it's just an example, right?
Yep.
It's got all these keywords that you're showing up for, and a lot of the keywords are related, right? So it'd be like, right, I work with a studio, a ton of stuff. Like a lot of them will be yoga, so be yoga in this town, yoga classes, yoga this. But then it's among all the keywords that it's showing up for. Well, I just want to kind of see what the general visibility is for that word yoga. So I'll throw it all day and be like, just give me the highlights, like all of the 5 different categories you're showing up, you got to aggregate it. So aggregate all the different versions of yoga so you have an idea of how we're showing up for yoga searches.
Yeah.
Right? So rather than me having to go in there and freaking add up all the different variations,
the analytics yourself.
It just comes out.
It does math very well.
Yeah.
Yes, it can do math very, very well. Math, equations, things like that. From the data analysis, we talk a lot about health and wellness on our call, on this podcast. We talk about it. And one of the things I did recently was I had heard some research on a new thing.
Was it you shouldn't sit for more than 10 minutes on the toilet?
No, it was not that. But it might have been a supplement. I can't remember exactly let's just call it a supplement. And research had now shown some turmeric. That's what it was. It was a spice, turmeric. And I'm like, how valid is what these people are now saying about it? Because, you don't know. So I asked it to do a meta-analysis of all the research on turmeric. And it did.
Right.
So it went through all the research it could find on turmeric, and it referenced the different places, and then gave the combined, it's, by the way, so you don't have to do it yourself, the meta-analysis shows inconclusive for long-term benefits of turmeric on health. But why is that? I don't know. Maybe we'll have to. I want to dig into it.
Because it's hard to do analysis on
meta-analysis
people eating
is
things.
very yes.
It's hard to do it because you'd have to take that's what they always say, right? You'd have to take two groups,
Yes.
and expose these people to that, and not expose these people, because what the problem is, people lie
And then
about,
you have to
or people
control
have bad memories
every
about it.
other thing they eat.
Exactly.
So the only way to do a real accurate study on turmeric is you get two twins with the same DNA, right? The twin study that they did is like that. And you give them the exact same meals and same they do the same thing every day. One gets turmeric, one doesn't. That's very hard to do.
Yeah, especially if it's poison. It's also
Yes.
there's all sorts of ethical issues with it too.
Yep. So I think my summary was I dug into a little bit of the research. I'm like, all right, there's something here, and there's nothing bad that comes out of this spice, it doesn't seem. So I'm just going to add it in.
I got one more story before we close this up. Because again, it's just an insight into what you can do. And this is from somebody, I would not consider myself an expert at AI. And probably the people who are watching this aren't. So if you are an expert, reach out and say, there's all these other ways. But I'm just trying to help small business owner off the street with just some. But I thought this was an interesting story. So a buddy of mine, there's research out is having back problems, and there's research out now. MIT I think came out with this, where it's if you improve your muscles, take some of the stress out of nerves or something like that. If you're having nerve issues, developing the muscle can help the nerve issue. So I was like, well, how do you do that? Especially if it hurts to work out, right? What are the other ways? But one of the ways that they did it is they used different ways of stimulating the muscles. One of them was some sort of lighting technique where they stimulate in a petri dish. They stimulated the muscle using some sort of light or whatever. And then my buddy was like, well, have you ever heard of TENS devices? Oh yeah, I've heard of those. They're kind of muscle
I have one of those.
Yeah, exactly. Stimulators, whatever. Is there anything like that? And I was like, well, or what are the other things? I was thinking about that. You remember that thing you used to wrap around your...
For abs?
Yeah, to get abs. And of course that shit didn't work, right? But it was what other things are like that? So I did was I took the whole article and I put into ChatGPT and I said, look, I know we're not... What are the commercially available things that MIT could have used in this experiment to stimulate the muscles? And it came out with a whole analysis of here's some things you could try that might be, that might be helpful by name. Because again, these things are out there, but how would we have had to figure it out before?
Right.
Google search or
right.
You know what I mean? But this just distilled it all down and said, here's some things that are out there that might produce the same benefit.
Our access to information is amazing. Yeah. And I feel like you can be, if you just take a couple minutes, you can be very smart on a lot of different things.
And if you're a small business owner, that's your job, is to be smart on a whole bunch of different things about your body. And don't be, not about your body, about your business. And don't be afraid. If anything, you need to be, we would say, proactive. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Take control of it. That's blunt force factor.
For the most part, the blunt force factor is control the robots before they control you. Yeah. Because they will. Good stuff. 5 tips that you can use AI right now. Jump right in. I'm Brian LaFauci.
Patrick Marino.
Till next time.
Thank you.